Um, Hey, let's shift topics. You mentioned the Twins at the beginning. You were in Houston watching them, which means you saw, I think, two of their seven now consecutive one-run losses. Now we're recording this Wednesday morning. Don't know what's going to happen in Wednesday night's game, so maybe they've won by a run, and here we go. But seven straight one-run losses dating back to you know late May when I think they walked off the Royals and then they lost by one run the next day. Um, I don't know. The question before us is: should we be prepared for this team to be a deadline seller, or does that one run stat tell you that it's more losing on the margins and they could just as easily turn around now and win 9 of their next 12 and be back into a favorable spot?
Joan Duran has like blown two saves all year. He has had a spectacular year, and he just had a couple of bad beats in Houston. That Saturday game, Joe Ryan dueled Hunter Brown spectacularly and turned it over to Duran, and he fell apart. I objected with Rocco's decision to remove Simeon Woods Richardson after 5 innings and 53 pitches because he didn't want him to face the lineup a third time. Ah, God, that drives me up the wall, And I just think that's overmanaging. They did it at home. When they pulled Ryan, I thought Ryan could go ahead and pitch another inning. I got into a text argument with Dan Hayes of The Athletic because he was trying to say, well, there's an off day tomorrow. He can unload his bullpen. I said, if the guy's on the roll, who cares about the bullpen? Let him pitch, for goodness sakes. Here we go again in Houston. Simeon's pitching well. There's an off day on Monday. Rocco decides to go to the bullpen. It worked out until Durant came in. And once again, how do you factor for that? So, plus Buxton was out after being injured. And we saw yesterday he hit a homer in his return, and Bader had the hilarious 3-run homer.
Right.
It's just there have been some bad beats, So I'm not ready to say sell. The other thing, too, is the Twins are just one game out of the wild card. Okay,
That's true.
Even with this these debacle of losses, consecutive one-run losses, they're still just one game out of a wild card berth. And I was talking with a Twins official over the weekend about this, and he noted, because we were talking about the trade deadline, he was like, all these teams are talking about buying, but who are the sellers going to be? And he pointed it out, and I looked it up before I came on with you today. Mm-hmm. There are still only 3 American League teams that are more than 2.5 games out of a wild card berth. All right, 3 out of 15. Yeah. So you got 12 teams that can say, we can sniff around. We can sniff the postseason here. We can sniff a wild card berth. So, and the Twins are one of them. So, no, I'm not ready to punt on the season. I'm not ready to conduct a fire sale. I'm not ready to strip it down. If anything, I'm trying to look for a way to augment the roster. I don't know how much they're willing to trade. I don't know how much money they're willing to take on. I've been advocating for another hitter in the paper. Maybe they need to find a starter to extend the rotation a little bit. I also had a conversation with someone over the weekend. Since I was in Houston for my brother's birthday trip, I did grab my press pass and walk into the clubhouse before Saturday's game. And the one thing I was told that was, what are your options after the 5 starters you have now? If anyone goes down, who's next? Someone surmised Andrew Morris would be the next guy, but they're not really sure if he's ready right now. He got off to a really good start to the season, and he scuffled a little bit since. And then they said the 4-letter word, which was opener. So a bullpen game, maybe.
You can't do a bullpen game when you can't even get 4 innings out of these other starters.
I know. When I did this, I actually did this when I heard that, and I was like, oh my God, no. So I'm thinking, gosh, should they go out and get a starter then if that's the case? That just frightened me. I was at the Saints game yesterday, and Marco Reyes started, and he was a mess. He hit batters, he gave up bombs. He's not ready to take another step, and some people are predicting that he will end up as a reliever by the time he reaches the majors. And then our old friend Randy Dobnak came out of the and they were playing some Dauber who just won't go away. He's letting his hair. He's getting shaggy hair now. He's letting his hair go. So he came in and threw effectively. It was a crazy game in which the Saints lost in the 11th inning. And to a Toledo team, you have to remember in minor league baseball, Monday's an off day. Toledo had an off day on Monday. In the 10th inning, they bring in a position player to pitch. He's throwing eephus pitches, and he ends up getting a win. It was the wackiest thing I've ever seen in my life. So that just tells you what the state of pitching is for some organizations, man. So, but no, I'm not ready to give up on the Twins and say it's time for a fire sale. They're still within range of a wild card berth.
And I suppose some of it depends not so much on we kind of have the Pablo Lopez timeline is not terribly optimistic. It's probably like late August. It's probably late into which is not much of the season left. Probably the depth question is more of a Zebby Matthews question since he's probably on a quicker track to get back. Although he's probably someone that they think so highly of long term. They're not going to rush him back. So like, where do you think he fits into this mix in terms of his shoulder strain and how fast he could provide that depth or maybe take one of these spots back if someone is struggling?
Well, I just want to caution everybody, let's manage expectations here. Usually when a pitcher lands on the IL, it's going to be damn near a month. Okay. Right. Pablo pulled a hamstring earlier this year and it cost him 2+ weeks, nearly 3. Right. So if anything's going to happen to an arm, they're going to be extra careful. They're going to shut him down. There's going to be some rehab work. Then it's going to be some light throwing. And then you're going to get on the outside throwing bullpens. The next thing you know, you're almost at a month. So usually when a pitcher has an arm issue, just expect him to be out a month. So Zebby sometime in July, I would imagine. And Pablo probably, I would say early September at the worst. So if they could just hold on and not have any other injuries to that rotation, keep Bailey Ober upright, whatever he's dealing with, they'll be okay. And, to be honest, Simeon's outing was encouraging. Festa was fine for like 4 or 5 innings yesterday, and the wheels fell off. Maybe he can take a step forward after that. So that's going to be crucial here. Chris Paddock, it's amazing. I mean, he's been pretty solid for the most part. He had a clunker Friday. I was in the stands when he couldn't do anything right on Friday. And coming off the previous series, Rocco left him out there probably 2 innings longer than he should have because he had to eat one for the bullpen. But he gets crappy run support.
Yes, that's been terrible this year.
Yeah, so that's not it's not helping matters. I still think they got that swing in the bats. That's the one disappointment for me with this team because I thought they were going to be at least an above average offense. They were 10th in the league in runs scored last year, and I thought they should be around that at least this year, if not better. Buxton's having an all-star year. It's good to see he's back. Brooks Lee, 16-game hitting streak. He's coming around nicely. We need to get some other guys going. Warner needs to become a powerhouse. Hopefully Jeffers getting hit with a pitch isn't something serious, or we're going to see Mickey Gasper, who started a catcher yesterday for the Saints.
Oh boy,
Mickey will probably be the guy, and now you're looking at a Gasper, Christian Vasquez tandem behind the plate. So
no, thanks. Yeah,
they need to go on offensively, man. I think that would mean a lot for this pitching staff if they can start getting to at least 4 runs and 5 more consistently.
Well, they're still not getting great performance out of Correa, even if he's been better than the start of the year. And then they just lost Royce Lewis again. Hopefully that's not for too long, but like just when he started to get going. So it's like the offense has very little margin for error. I feel like if and when anybody and everybody is healthy, they could be maybe an average to above average offense. They just haven't been that this year, and guys have underperformed.
My leash with Royce is running out here with him because, first of all, once again, thank heavens for Willie Castro, one of the best minor league free agent signings ever. He could play second. Brooks could play third. Brooks doesn't have the power that you like to see at third base, but my goodness, I need someone who can make contact, and it looks like he can do that at least and move the chains. I think Brooks profiles as potentially as a really good number 2 hitter in the lineup. Be able to bat from both sides of the plate.
Yeah.
So, like France needs to keep slugging a little bit here. Bader, with those guys, it's just they gotta get going, man. That's why I was wondering if they could find a way to add a bat to that lineup.
Yeah.
like a Eugenio Suarez who could maybe DH and play some third base or whatever. Or Ryan O'Hearn who could DH and play a little first base. And that's the other thing too. I went to the Saints game because I'm doing a column on Aaron Sabato, who finally got to AAA. If something happens to Ty France, they don't really have a first baseman after that. And Sabato, is sitting there at AAA now, who could become an intriguing option.
Well, they keep passing over Julian and Miranda in any of these.
Julian's doing better.
Julian's been better. Yeah, I saw that.
Miranda's a mess. He's batting .215. He gave up on a bouncing ball down the third base line at State Fair yesterday. I don't know if it just didn't look good to me.